Congressman Jose Serrano, who has represented New York City's 15th congressional district in the Bronx since 1990, announced last spring that he would not be seeking re-election in 2020 as a result of having been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. In July, Democratic City Council veteran Richie Torres, the chair of the council's powerful Committee on Oversight and Investigation, announced that he will be seeking that now open seat. Why is he running? What are his issues? And who does he consider his primary challenger? Joining us now to answer those and other questions about his congressional campaign is Councilmember Richie Torres. Councilmember Torres, thanks so much for joining us.
An honor to be here. City Council veteran, that makes me sound old.
That's right, that's right. You're still the youngest guy in the City Council, but a veteran nevertheless. Yes. Now, Councilmember, why are you running? Is it simply because the seat is now open and you're being term limited out of your City Council seat?
I think it's time for a new generation of leadership in the South Bronx. You know, for decades, it has been said that the South Bronx is the poorest congressional district in America. You know, Albert Einstein once said, if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. What we need in the South Bronx is an infusion of new leadership. The central mission of my life has been to break the cycle of poverty, especially in the South Bronx. But the fact is, the rules are set in Washington, D.C. Right? The federal government has the greatest impact on health and housing, the economy and jobs. And so if you want to have a real impact in breaking the cycle of poverty, in lifting the lives of working people, you have to be a policymaker on a national stage. You have to be in Washington, D.C., where the rules are set. And that's why I'm running for Congress.
So you ran for the City Council presidency to speakership. 2 years ago. Did you not believe that the real power was in Washington at that time, the real power to help your constituents?
You can have a real impact at the City Council level, and I've been the leading champion of residents in affordable housing and public housing in the City Council. But the truth is that much of what we do at the local level is administering federal programs.
So could you elaborate a little more on the issues that you believe are the ones that are most important for your constituents? The
most important issue is affordability. Right? You have everyday New Yorkers, everyday residents in the Bronx who are struggling to keep pace with the cost of living, who are struggling to put food on the table and pay their rent and keep their families afloat. The federal government needs to invest more in affordable housing. There are 20 million households that pay more than half their income toward their rent. There are neighborhoods like Fordham where half of the whole neighborhood pay more than half their income toward their rent, and that's before you factor in the cost of childcare and healthcare and food and transportation. And so our country should be investing $100 billion annually to create somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million units of affordable housing. Our goal should be to ensure that every American has a right to safe, decent housing.
You know, when you announced that you were running, you tweeted on that same day that your story was the story of the Bronx. How so?
My story is the story of the Bronx because it's a story of overcoming. Right? It's a story of struggle. Right? I know what it's like to be raised by a single mother who had to raise 3 children in the 1990s when the minimum wage was $4.25. Right? I know what it's like to be a young child in public housing, an asthmatic struggling to breathe in his own apartment. As a child, the most common place that I would visit beyond school and my home was the emergency room, because I had asthma attacks repeatedly, triggered by housing conditions like mold and leaks. You know, I know what it's like to have family in prison. I had 2 half-brothers in prison. So not only have I studied the issues affecting the South Bronx, not only have I governed over these issues, but I've lived them. You know, what I bring is not only governing experience, I bring the wisdom that comes with lived experience.
You know, you're one of the 5 openly gay members of the City Council, and you said that even though you came out early to your family and friends, it was really in that first run for the City Council that you came out to people beyond your family and friends. How tough was that?
Look, it's never easy to be part of an oppressed minority, but it was an easy decision because in politics, the most important value is integrity. You know, if you are dishonest about who you are in your personal life, you're going to be dishonest as a public official. And I felt it was important to be honest and open about who I was, to live both my professional and personal life with authenticity and with integrity, and that decision has served me well.
So you also, we now know that you also battled depression for many years. Depression's severe enough that at one point you contemplated suicide.
Yeah. So back in 2007, look, I dropped out of college because I was battling depression. My grandparents had died. I felt the world around me had collapsed. I felt a profound sense of failure. There were moments when I even thought of taking my own life. And then 6 years later, I became the youngest elected official in the largest city in America. So the lesson learned from my life is that even in your moment of greatest darkness and despair, never lose hope.
Well, you weren't as open about that in your first few years in public life, but you started to openly talk about it a few years ago. Why did you keep it private earlier on, and why did you decide to go ahead and talk about it publicly?
Because when you're a public official, you have an obligation to tell your personal story. You know, my struggles with depression, sharing my struggles with depression to the world means breaking the silence and the stigma and the shame that too often surrounds mental illness in America. Right? It's one of the most important issues affecting our society. You know, whether it's over-incarceration or the opioid crisis or chronic homelessness, at the heart of all these problems is mental illness. Right? There's no set of people whom we are failing more miserably as a society than the severely mentally ill, who are left to die on our streets, who are often over-incarcerated, who are often abusing substances. We're failing that population miserably as a society.
Now, there are a number of people running in the Democratic primary for the 15th Congressional District, but you have almost exclusively focused on one of those opponents. That's your colleague in the City Council, Ruben Diaz Sr. In fact, you said that this contest with him is personal. Explain why.
I mean, Reverend Ruben Diaz is hostile to everything that I believe. You know, he has been a supporter of the Trump administration, which I consider an existential threat to America. He has campaigned with Republican Senator Ted Cruz in the South Bronx. There's a real risk that a Trump Republican masquerading as a Democrat could represent the most Democratic district in America. He is anti-LGBT. In 2011, he was the only Democrat in the state Senate to vote against marriage equality. He said that the city council is controlled by a homosexual cabal. He said that the gay Olympics would lead to the spread of AIDS. He has been vehemently anti-LGBT. So I view his career as an assault on my humanity, my dignity, and my equality as an American citizen.
But you know, he has been elected to office, to one office or another for 18 years in the Bronx. And he has been very vocal about these positions. So his constituents, those who voted for him in any event, seem to either agree with his positions or not to think they are so odious that he should not be elected to office. How do you intend to deal with those voters? Do you intend to overwhelm them with your own voters, or do you hope to win them over?
Look, this race is not one on running against Ruben Diaz Sr. Right? I'm going to win it on the strength of my own story, my own records, my own roots in the Bronx. I'm going to focus like a laser on the issues of health and housing, schools, and jobs. Right? The candidate who speaks most powerfully and most compellingly to the struggles of everyday Bronx residents will win the election. And that's going to be the focus of my campaign. You know,
Melissa Mark Viverito is also running in this primary. She was, as our viewers probably know, the City Council Speaker, a position that you sought. So why you and not her?
I'm the best candidate. I'm rooted in the Bronx. I have 6 years of governing experience with investigations, with overseeing the largest landlord in the United States. But I also have lived experience. I know what it's like to struggle, right? Whether it's criminal justice reform or mental health or housing or healthcare. I know those issues because I've lived them firsthand.
Now, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is right next door to your district. He represents Congressional District 14. You're in the 15th Congressional District. Your race and her race are very similar. And not only that, but say that you and and her are very similar. Do you think that's accurate? Tell us, what do you think are the similarities and the difference between you and
Look,
AOC?
I have enormous respect for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is one of the most effective questioners that I've seen in Congress. So what we share in common is a commitment to aggressive oversight, aggressive questioning, holding government accountable. But we're fundamentally different people, right? I'm my own person with my own story and my own record and my own roots in the Bronx. And so I would prefer to be judged on my own terms rather than in relation to someone else.
So, City Council Member Torres, the primary is in June of next year, and in your district, winning the primary means?
Yes, the primary is the election.
Is the election. If you prevail in June, what will be your first order of business when you get to Washington?
Introduce a bill that would massively invest in affordable housing. Right? We should create enough affordable housing in the Bronx and elsewhere in America so that there is no American household that pays more than half of its income toward its rent. I think a massive stimulus package, a massive new deal for affordable housing.
All right, Councilmember Torres, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
We'll be inviting the other major candidates running in the Democratic primary for this seat in the 15th Congressional District, so stay tuned.